I hope you would exclude this time from my allotted time. Now, in fact, this is the 5th colloquium, Creative Theory Colloquium. When I found my name in this session to discuss, dimensions of creative theory, I was just wondering that what I would say, because, I have done this job twice, perhaps, in the last 5 years. So I thought that perhaps I'd be repeating some of the things which I have been sharing with all of you. But still I thought that sometime, our teacher Randhir Singh used to say that you should repeat from time to time what you believe in. So I go by that dictum, and I will be repeating some of the things which I have been repeating in the last few colloquiums. In fact, what I will do that I will just flag 3-4 issues in the next 7-8 minutes, 8 to 9 minutes rather, related to this creative theory, that why it started. Now basically I will go down the memory lane, because creative theory colloquium of course started in 2014, this building. But this entire intellectual exercise, which in my opinion started as a movement, initially in political science, then spread to other branches with friends and co-travelers joining in Delhi University in mid-80s. And the architect of that movement is sitting among us, Professor Manoj. Because we in the political science department used to meet weekly in a seminar. I remember when we were doing our masters, a very powerful intellectual movement was growing in history, subaltern movement. We witnessed, we had a 2 days, brainstorming session on subaltern thing. So this is how this entire thing of alternative discourse in social science started taking shape. What we used to call new political science, new issues, new concerns. Later on, it had an institutional expression which failed within the broad university system. And we perhaps picked up thread from there, and then it started in 2014. So just as a backgrounder, that why this creative theory. From the very first colloquium, we have been facing this problem. What is so creative about creative theory? And one of the challengers is sitting just by my side, Ajay Godavarti. I was thinking that I would be speaking after him. But I don't know, Sarta, changed the order. Well, I thought that I will be responding to some of his attacks, but he has got the last laugh today. He's going to get the host. So, what is so creative about creative theory? And in very first colloquium, Professor Gopal Guru made a very interesting posture. He said the moment you say creative theory, we are dealing with social science, then the issue comes that can social science be creative? Because creativity is essentially the domain of art. Music, dance, other things can be creative, which can be done in isolation. An individual can perform it. Can social science be creative? Because here comes the question of protocol. Social science cannot breach protocol, and the moment you are basically bound by protocol, then you have to act within that frame. So then, how to have creativity? So this prefix creativity. Because in social science what happens, before creativity comes critical. So you have to decide whether you have to be critical or creative. Can both go together? Now this was a challenge when we have been trying to harmonize the two things through whatever exercise you have done over the years. Then the second thing, was a larger disappointment with the social science discourse. Because subaltern thing later got merged with post-colonialism, and the post-colonialism is nothing but a reverse Orientalism, because Orientalism turned colonial people into object. Now what the post-colonialism is doing, is turning them to subjecthood in such a manner that the West becomes object. So this subject-object dichotomy continues. So we are still in the trap of that thing. So subaltern created that mood, post-colonialism destroyed it. When subaltern movement merged with the post-colonialism, so that was the end of it. Then indigenous and derivative. indigenous knowledge, derivative knowledge, authentic, inauthentic, conformist and interrogative, all these dichotomies, binaries we are basically living with. Now it is in this context that 3-4 issues the subaltern, this creative theory had to engage with. And therefore, what we did that on the one hand, this epistemological cosmopolitanism, what Achin Benayak also alluded to yesterday, that negotiated universality is the best. In name of this negotiated universality or epistemological cosmopolitanism, we are basically simply ignoring indigenous, or one can say the local. So how to bring the two together? In the meanwhile, another challenge came from the Hindutva discourse. And therefore what happened, a lot of things which could have happened in name of indigenous knowledge, in name of philosophy, basically the entire energy has been lost on defending that it is not Hindutva, it is something else. Now how to differentiate the two? And the challenge is that, in many indigenous knowledge systems, at times knowledge is wrapped in religion. How to distill it? Process of distillation. The moment you talk of logic, philosophy, science in earlier period, then what happens, the problem becomes that, the plastic surgery of Ganeshji comes into picture. So you have to deal with that. Now, Dharampal's discourse of science and technology in 16th century, how one can today, unearth that text and debate it, in context of the new challenge which is emerging. So this is another challenge which the creative theory had to deal with from the very beginning. Now what happened, that in light of the challenges, we have been trying to do 3-4 things. One, instead of being branded as purely indigenous or a post-colonial subject-object thing, which perhaps Ajay would again recap today. 2 minutes? 2 minutes. Now this subject-object thing, we are trying to meander our way in a manner where this binary is, broken. Subject-object kind of thing. How to break this binary, we have been trying to demonstrate through our, exercise in last 4-5 years, collectively on this 5th and 6th of September, and individually throughout the year. The second thing is the question of intercultural and intracultural, debate. Because, on the one hand, there are people who believe only in intercultural disparity, and they want to bridge it, and post-colonial perhaps is carrying this flag, with many, advocates in the Hindutva decade also. I will not name them, some of them NRIs and also in India. And they say the freedom is the signpost. We have to liberate ourselves, colonialism has ended, but this intracultural disparity continues, and therefore we have to basically fight for that. On the other hand, you have an intracultural thing, that it is not freedom but justice, not from the intercultural, problem, but intraculture, within culture. How to retrieve this entire discourse of justice? The problem is that instead of fighting West, first of all you fight your own cultural hegemons here. So this intracultural, interculture thing we are also trying to address in our own limited way, through our this thing, that how we can do it. Now, first, I'll just take 1 minute. This issue of this adequate theory of reality and aspirational theory of reality are another challenge we are facing, which is something related to this protocol issue. Should we build a theory which is adequate as per the protocol requirements of social science, or should we deviate from it in order to build an aspirational theory of reality, maybe deviating from the protocol, but nonetheless be falling in line with, or basically serving the aspirations of thousands of people? And therefore this issue which Sukumar was flagging, movement issue. That how to engage with movement. Whether knowledge is basically, only located within the institutional frame of, universities and colleges, or it is also part of the movement. And this issue, in fact, Maninder has been raising, that why Gandhi, Marx and Ambedkar, three important discourse which is present in the movement, but when it comes to the university system, because the movements look at those icons and their ideas as theories to deal with their problems and challenges. But in the moment it comes to university, they become thought. They are not used to negotiate the way, but rather they are simply seen as a very ideal type construct to look at the past and the future. So this is another issue we have to deal with, that the movement issue, and we are trying to basically tap some of the resources which are basically generated through collective action in the civil society. Of course, there is a problem. Everything which is related to people does not become knowledge, and therefore the popular and progressive, I think perhaps Ajay will discuss more on this, has to be differentiated, that everything which is popular may not be progressive, but nonetheless how this entire creative theory has to deal with the popular progressive dimension of the people's movement. I will stop here.
Thank you.